Can AI teach you how to do anything? Or can it help you achieve the things that you're already capable of? My name's Devin Anderson. You're watching Spare Part Assembly, and this is an additional bedroom that I built with the help of AI. When I first started this project, I had never even cut a 2x4 before. Keep that in mind. We completed this project under $5,000 for materials, and it looks pretty darn good if you ask me. Thank you for watching Spare Part Assembly. Let's figure out how good AI actually is. We recently had someone that was going to frame all of this in. They quit. Can't blame them. It is what it is. But now I have to figure it out. Anybody know how to do carpentry or framing? Any of that stuff? Because I don't. Hello and welcome to this episode of If AI Told You to Jump Off a Bridge, Would You? I put it into AI. Got some pretty cool stuff back. This is a user manual for how to build that. Yeah, it's going to work out. No, it's not. So as we begin to do this, I really need some information from you guys in the comments. Tell me if I did this wrong so that way I can fix it. And we'll see how it goes. So the first thing I should say is this isn't a load-bearing wall that we're trying to build. We're going to build floating walls here. I'm going to put a slider here and a window here. We have to figure out how in the hell to do the rest of it. So we're going to start with the easier project because I don't know what I'm doing. So we're going to frame this in here, measure it out for our window. That's what AI tells me to do anyway. I don't know. AI overlords. Smarter than me, right? Here we go. So it says here, trip over everything first. Measure the stucco to the house from post to the wall. Length of full height studs. Those are going to be the studs on the corner. It looks like he left a pretty large gap. We'll fill that with foam. Use a pressure treated 2x4 board and studs will form a rectangle when assembled flat. So no one's going to tell you this. Do the thing. Start that project. If you can make a square, you can do this. I just put extra studs down here at the bottom. I'm going to do the same cripples. And then we'll put cripples up there at the top as well. As you can see, they're marked out. I think this is going to work, you guys. I think I'm going to have to measure out the studs for the window itself. Run those up adjacent. Oh yeah. I may have messed this up. Yep, go figure. I messed it up. So what I did wrong was I ran the two sills all the way to the edge, whereas you can see he did not do that. He framed his to the rough opening, and mine is 24 by 36. So I've got 36. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two cripples out right there, run two full-length studs up to the top, screw everything in, cut the sills to accommodate to the new king studs, and we will have studs from the top to the bottom. I'll add two cripples in at the exact same measurement here, cut those, and put the blocking in. So basically we're going to have something that looks like that all the way to the top, and then we're going to put another sill right here, and then we can throw our window in there. Let's do it. Ain't nothing to it. We got the window taped in, ran a bead of caulk behind it, did not run a bead of caulk under the bottom. We're going to add more screws once we get it up and properly leveled. We're going to run a chalk line over there at exactly 3.5 inches so we know exactly where to put this. That way it's level and we don't get any of this in the wall. The professional ran liquid nails under and then fixed it all the way around the other three sides. I don't know how to seal it. I know that the pressure treated will help seal it. However, I don't know exactly how to do that. I think I'm going to just run a big old fat bead of liquid nails under there and hope for the best. The only thing I'm really worried about is right here. There's going to be a large amount of water runoff right there straight down. I'm going to try to push this back about 1/2 inch to 2 inches. That way I can make sure that any water that runs through there has a little bit of room behind this to run in front of it rather than directly on it, causing us some leaking issues in the future. Am I right? Is this how we do it? I don't know. Who knows? Let's figure it out. Look pretty good to me. What y'all think? Huh, that didn't work. Ooh. Well, it fit yesterday. That's a problem. It fit perfectly yesterday. Wood tends to move. There it is. Beautiful. I think that's actually right. Check the other side. These will fall. Okay. Well, how do you do? Not too bad for the new guy, huh? Especially considering that 2 days ago I had never picked up a circular saw before. So that's not terrible, right? Let me know in the comments if I messed something up. You see something I should fix before we start putting sheathing on the outside of it. Got a couple of what I've been told are unnecessary supports here. That one didn't really work out, so we're just going to forget about that. But I got some up here at the top too, so that way it doesn't rack. I think this is We're starting on the slider now. Well, as we round up day 2, I understand why people charge so much for this stuff. I've got the blank wall that's going to be next to the slider. I've got a couple shims up top. Don't mind those. I'd say it's about 1/2 inch gap, maybe 3/8, maybe. Not too bad. I'm going to run anchors down here, Uncle Bob, and I say that looks pretty good, man. Especially for me being an apprentice and literally self-taught. I have no experience in construction. Do the thing. Get out there and do the thing. Is it going to be beautiful the first time? Absolutely not. Just try it again or use caulk. End of day 2. And for every woman out there who says it's not big enough, that's a 3/8 inch gap. Try some construction before you judge. It's pretty nice though. I'm happy with it. Is it level? No. Did I use a lot of liquid nails and caulk? Big white caulk? Yeah, I did. It's not bad though, right? It's level, symmetrical. Well, is it level? It might be a little off, but I mean, who cares? It's gonna be fine, right? Right? This is day 3 to Can AI Teach You Anything? I'd say yeah. Keep in mind, Monday, I had never used a circular saw to cut a piece of wood. I didn't do that part. It needs to be redone. It's all bad. That's kind of incredible, no? Get out there and do the thing, guys. You'd be surprised what you can accomplish. Anybody ever get sentimental over tools? This is a BH16 roto hammer by AEG. It was my girlfriend's granddad's, and I just think about the hands that it's been in as I'm starting to run my anchors for my wall. Those were the hands of a man that literally and figuratively built a generation. He was in construction. He built a lot of houses. I don't know, I just kind of think about cuss words that it's had, problems that it's solved, and things like that, and it, I don't know, kind of makes you well up a little bit, you know? Update on day 4. I redid all of this, so now we don't have any gaps here. Slight at the top, but I had to shorten this a bit because the last guy cut a bunch of stucco out right there, and we wanted it to push all the way to the edge of this pillar so we can tuck a hideaway bed here. I missed a little gap there. We're just going to fill that with some foam. It's about 3/4 of an inch, so it's not too big of a deal. We've got our king studs and jack studs for our slider. It's fully open. We've got our cripples at the top. We've got a ladder here for extra rigidity, 16 inches on center, so we should be pretty solid opening and closing our door. That's over engineered by design. And then we've got just our standard wall here. Nothing too crazy about this one. I've got to go get some low expansion foam, make sure that my windows are all level and open properly. Bang, dude! Slider installed. Let's go. Unfortunately, the rain stopped us today. I was going to finish up all the trim. That's what we're going to be doing around the edge of all the windows and the slider, and we're going to do it around the edge of the stucco frame as well. We have a nice little trim. It's going to hide a bunch of the screws and stuff. Remember, the trim's gonna go around here as well. Not too bad, right? Especially for a guy that literally has a week experience in construction. Yeah, don't worry about that. We're gonna get there. I threw up some FRP just to keep it from getting wet over the weekend. A little drainage here just to keep the water away as much as I can. It'll be fine. Treated lumber down there at the bottom, so we're good. But we're gonna frame everything in, get all the trim and all that good stuff, and look at that, dude. Look at that. Huh? Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Happy Monday morning. We're back at I haven't figured out a great name for it, but about 2 weeks ago, I cut my first 2x4, and what you see is a representation of that. I've got about 70 hours wrapped up into this. It's a brisk 39 degrees here in Las Vegas. I feel every single one of them. Our focus today is going to be fitting all of the insulation. We officially have all of our insulation in. Pretty cut and dry, don't mind that. You just make sure you stretch the paper, can't see any light through it. Don't squish your insulation because the thinner it is, the less insulation properties it has. And then areas like this, foam around that. We're probably gonna skip foaming around the windows just because the homeowner wants to do trim and we wanna get things done quickly. That's his decision, not mine. Now we're gonna go outside, finishing the FRP on the outside, getting everything weather sealed because we had some rain over the weekend and we had some water protrusion. So we're just gonna double check all of our sealant and make sure everything is hunky-dory there. That way we can start doing all of our trim work. Here we go. We did a pretty good job of putting a band-aid on it and getting things quickly put up before it rained over the holidays. Get everything nice and flush up against the 2x4s on the outside. Try to get the trim done, caulked around the seams, and get all of our runners in. That way, whenever it does rain, it just washes right off of it. So that's gonna be our main focus right now. With the FRP, this is not meant for exterior sheathing. This, again, is the homeowner's decision, and it's doable, but it's kind of like putting saran wrap on the outside of your house. Yes, it is waterproof, and it does work. I don't exactly advise it, but if you're just looking for something quick and cheap to throw up, this is pretty good. This is about as good as quick and cheap gets. It's about $45 a 4x8 sheet. It's about the same or less than plywood, but it doesn't need an exterior sheathing. We're adding the trim just to give it a little bit of extra zhuzh, but you could get away with just doing caulk around the exterior here, cutting a little bit more trim to the stucco and then just caulking it really good, and then that would be a waterproof seal. It wouldn't look as good, but it would be quick and easy. So do with that what you will. Again, I'm not a professional and the homeowner's trying to do this a little bit cheaper, so AI says FRP on the inside, trim it, and it'll look pretty good, but for the exterior it suggested to do something a little bit more robust. That way you're ensuring that no water gets through and things like that. It just won't hold up over time. I mean, we're looking at like a 5 to 10 year thing because this FRP stuff can bend, warp, crack. It's basically just fiberglass, so it will stand up but not to the heat, not very long, and it's eventually going to fail. So just save yourself the step. Put regular sheathing on the outside of it, maybe some vinyl siding, something like that would work really, really well. Onto our FRP. We'll see what we can do after that. We'll do some trim, and I'll teach you how to do a miter with this cheap trim stuff that we've got here. It's actually garage door seals that go on the exterior edge of the garage door. It looks enough like wood that we can cut it with our oscillating multi-tool. That gives us an opportunity to trim around our windows and around the edges, and gives us something to caulk, and that way we don't have to be perfect. As you can see, we're gonna have a little bit of gaps and stuff like that, but the trim's gonna cover all of that, so it makes it a little easier on us.
Look, I fully understand that FRP is probably not the most exceptional use case here. I would have liked to have gone with something like an OSB with some sort of waterproof sheathing on the outside, but this is what the homeowner wanted. Fairly easy to complete. We're going to caulk around the stucco and the FRP joints, and then we're going to add some of that trim in there as well, so that way we can hide some of the screws, we can add an extra layer of waterproofing, and it'll add a little bit of beautification to it as well. We're likely going to scuff everything down and paint it and give it a nice color match to the current exterior. It kind of hides everything a little bit and gives us an opportunity to make everything look a little bit more homogeneous, a little bit more consistent, so that way you don't have a big white thing sticking out. Giggity. It'll hide this a little bit more, so that's why you're seeing me here cutting this FRP, adding the joints between the two FRPs, caulking around the edges, and then eventually we're going to add some of the trim to kind of make everything look a little bit better, if that makes sense.
So after spending way too much time caulking this bead, I finally asked AI how I should do this, and it's saying cut the miter corners, the trim pieces, fit them in place dry first, then take a bead of caulk behind it, like where the screws are, push that down and let it seal against the backside, then caulk the trim edge and the face edge as well. So that runs a gasket basically behind the entirety of the caulk, and then when you put the trim pieces on, it'll squish into place and provide a seal. Then you add an extra seal on the back and the front of the trim piece, allowing it to seal even better. I'm going to take the extra measure and caulk the big gaps where the trim meets the stucco and the FRP. There's going to be larger and smaller gaps because the stucco's not even, so it's kind of impossible to get a perfect edge through there. I'm going to caulk the larger gaps and then run the bead behind it, and then, you know, the front and the back. Hopefully that works.
Whenever I brought this up to the AI, I actually asked it what I should be using for the trim on the exterior. It suggested PVC planks, and those are a little expensive. I think they're for like an 8-foot by 6-inch PVC. I want to say it's like $25, and we need quite a bit of these. I went to Home Depot with the owner. He pointed these out. Now, these trim pieces are actually garage door seals. They provide the same weatherproofing that the other PVC panels would, but they're not as expensive. I think these are for a 9-foot section. I think it's like $12, and we don't need something that's super robust on the exterior. We just need a little bit of waterproof material to be able to add that beautification and the extra water sealant. So this is going to work perfectly in both my eyes and the homeowner's eyes. That's why we're using this.
We got this all framed in. It looks like a little picture. Little picture frame. I think I'm going to try to convince the homeowner to paint this the same color and maybe even stucco it, but he's kind of on the fence about that. It is what it is. He wasn't budgeting this much for it. The guy he originally got to do it was fast to quit. Then we should be able to get all of this framed in and get our trim done on the outside tomorrow, and then hopefully get our FRP installed on the interior. That'll bring her pretty close to a close at that point. Today is going to be more of the same but different. So what I've noticed with this FRP is it's really invasive, like fiberglass insulation. I was wearing a mask, but it wasn't the right one. You need something that's N100 or better, because it's a really fine particulate. I think it actually got me sick if you hear something in my voice. So just make sure you wear your PPE, safety glasses, gloves, respirator, things like that. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the trim, hopefully finishing that up around the edges of this today. Most of that's going to be cutting and mitering with our oscillating multi-tool to keep the dust down, make sure we don't burn any of the PVC while we're cutting it, nailing it in place, then caulking around it, making sure everything's nice and weather tight. And yeah, here we go. Our corners up here, how I'm mitering these, pretty simple. Is it perfect? No. Does it get the job done? Absolutely. So I've been taking just a traditional carpenter framing square and a hammer. No, I'm kidding. If you do any kind of work on anything and you do not have one of these oscillating multi-tools, go buy one. This thing has changed my life. But anyways, I use this, and it's a wood and plastics cutoff bit, and I just measure from the inside of my miter. So like for perimeter, outside perimeter, I'm doing edge to edge. So point to point on my miters. When it comes to this, I'm doing the inside corner. For the big ones, giggity, what I'm doing is I'm measuring from point to point and then cutting a 45 in it. For these, I'm measuring the smaller point because that's where they're gonna meet, is in the middle right there. Corner, corner, corner. And that's where you're gonna wanna measure, because this is gonna meet up like this. Oh, throw that in my face. So this is gonna meet up, gosh darn it. So this is gonna meet up on this side of that. It's gonna stop right here, and then another side's gonna come over and meet right here at the corner, and then you do a 45 and a 45, and then they'll marry up pretty close. Then you can use your multi-tool or grinder to bevel this a little bit, shorten the top piece. Is it gonna be perfect all the way around? No. Is it a good way to do it, especially if you don't know how to miter? Absolutely. It gets the job done. And then we're gonna measure out our perimeter and start mitering.
How's my audio? Where's my snare drum at? I'm gonna turn my snare up. Leading out my closet.
If you'll notice, this has a little gasket right here. I've been taking that off with a sharp knife. Let it meet right at the corner, and then you can kind of just drag it on through. Controlling the board with your left hand and the knife with your right. Whoa. Nice pretty edge. And I've been putting that edge to the stucco. For this particular application, there's a bit of guesswork involved. Cut a miter too short, it's just too short. There's nothing you can really do about it. So remember, edge to edge. Keep in mind where your faceplate's gonna go. The side that we cut, just keep in mind where that goes. So we're gonna do 95 1/4 here. Get my straight edge. Just find 95 1/4. Make your mark. Okay. This side right here is gonna be on the stucco. I'm a little dyslexic, so this messes me up every time. We need this up. We need an angle like this. Up there, we will be cutting it like this. And I'm using this inside groove here to make my 45. So this is our bottom, and we need to make, yeah. It gets a little bit more difficult. So on this side, I'm using this right here. That side I use the inside, and on this side, I'm using this side. Good enough for government work.
Okay.
A pretty solid fit. I'll be might. What? Not exactly perfect, but remember, I was told not to pay attention to the detail. Just get it done. This thing is a piece of shit. Certifiably. And then my suggestion to you is to leave the bottom half kind of just flexible. That way you can measure your next piece. I have to figure out how I'm gonna do this bottom down here. So it fits all the way up until here. That's where we start running into the slope. So probably just gonna notch it. That's as far as we can move there. Yeah, I'm gonna just notch it just a little bit. Now remember, this may not be pretty. However, all this is gonna be covered by that trim piece. So this is just extra weather sealant, just to make sure that no water gets in there. Whenever you're doing caulk, I highly suggest gloves. One, because you can use every finger without worrying about the stuff that's getting on you. Two, glass cleaner. Just spritz it down just a bit. You can do this with water too, but I like the viscosity of this stuff. And this will help you smooth it on out. Once you get all your corners mitered, get you about 4.5 tubes of caulk. Run you a bead, spray a little bit of Windex on there, and then come behind it, smooth it out with your finger. If it resets like that, use the excess, boom. Is this beautiful? No. Homeowner said, quit worrying about the details, get it done. Can't really blame the man. I wanted to make sure I got a watertight seal because we have a valley here where water's just gonna run off the side of the house here. If God wanted it perfect, then why in the hell did he invent caulk? You know what I'm saying? Uh-oh, look at what you've done. Don't use drywall screws for anything exterior. I didn't know that. But I do now. They're just more prone to rusting and failing over time. The more you know, folks. The more you know. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe or something. So I can't get in this corner very well, which is why we're going with the flat edge. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna load this thing up with caulk, okay? One big old bead right there. And then Throw some in the corner here. Is this perfect? No. But it's got wabi-sabi, you know? Let's do 92.5. Pop quiz, what was that measurement? What are you guys here for then? Damn, I really don't remember that measurement. 92 and eighth. If you're doing any kind of DIY projects and you don't have one of those oscillating multi-tools, let me tell you, drywall, plastic, metal, wood, perfect little tool. Perfect tool. It's really great for like minor adjustments. So like if you cut something too long or too short or whatever, it's great for that. Then again, if you cut a piece of wood too short, you can just go get a board stretcher. Those are a bit easier to use. Or too long, that's for sure. I haven't heard that before. By about a 1/2 inch. All right, let's take a 1/2 inch off over. BRB, that should do just fine. Just fine. Yes, sir. If you're trying to figure out what technique I use for making my caulk beads so smooth, well, you just missed it. Get it? Missed it? Okay, fine. You're not funny either. So now what I'm doing is there is this channel right here, and it's gonna butt up against this. So I'm gonna clear this out. That way we get a nice flush fit. What do y'all say about it? You starting to see the vision? Un poquito? Now we're going to be tackling the FRP on the interior portion. What I did was I measured height on the left side, height on the right side. Then I measured here to here, here to here, top to bottom here, top to bottom here, and then interior width and interior height. That way I make sure I get a really good cutout of where the window is exactly going to be in this sheet. And I can cut this sheet perfectly while making sure I maintain the spacing on the interior of the window. We're going to be adding a sill and some framing to go around it and some trim. So I'm not too worried about the exact measurement here. We're just going to cover that up with trim pieces anyway. So we just need to make sure we get the cutout well, height and width wise. And this FRP stuff is no joke. It doesn't cut very well and it's hard to cut straight. So that's what we're doing. Day 2 of the interior finish. We got our window hole cut out for our FRP. Now we just need to get it to fit in there flush. We're going to run trim around this. So we're not going to do the J channel for the actual FRP. We're going to do actual, no kidding, trim. So we're going to throw that to the side. We're going to focus on cutting this about a 1/2 inch gap on each side because we're going to have about a 2 inch piece of trim all the way around it. So we're not going to have to worry about it too much. We need it to fit flush so it doesn't have any bubbling or warping. Looks like we pretty well have it fit up top rather well. Seems like we have this consortium down here at the bottom. Yeah, I'm rather pleased with that. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and screw the top in. That way it doesn't do any more of that. They have a kit, this Impact, 2 batteries and a charger for 129 bucks. And it comes with a bag. The batteries are worth 100 bucks. Yeah. They're not brushless. For 130 bucks? It's like a sore Peter. You just can't beat it. All right, so we can use drywall screws on this because it's interior. Now we can get a better idea because we know that the top is not moving, so we can figure out where our bubble issue is coming from. All right, that's a factor. That's a factor as well. Figured it out. Because none of this is touching except for that little piece down there. So I think we need to cut here and here. And you know what that means. Let's open up these windows. Damn darn windows.
Okay, I'm going in. Okay, maybe not. What the heliante? Still too long, huh?
94.5. And then we need 4 foot width. 94.5. So 94.5 by 4 foot. Let's go. What was those measurements? What were those measurements? 94.5 by 4 foot. Isn't that what I said? That's what I said. This is a good teaching opportunity. When you're shaving your carpenter pencil, you want to go in at about a 45-degree angle, about a 1/2 inch above your bit, see? And then do the same thing from the same spot on the other side, and it should cut down to that. Then you're going to change your length like this. You see here? And then come back and sharpen. Boom, beautiful, isn't it? Now y'all tell me, which cutting implementation is faster? I know which one's better for my health. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to sneak up on you guys. I'm a very sneaky. Watch out, dude. Can you please move? Thank you. Look at what you made me do. Good thing this isn't wet, you know? It's a good thing. So if you're by yourself doing this, here's a little cheat code for you. Drill you a hole, back the screw out of the wood, that screw in, and now you have something to lift up on to raise your FRP to the height you need it. Boom. Just look at that. And putting it in the middle gives you some room for adjustment. So if you're too close on one side, too far on the other, etc., etc. Ooh, that was close. Mighty close. Well, that ain't good. I need about a 1/2 inch that way. My 2x4 is right here. I need to go about a 1/2 inch that way, which is perfect because that'll put me about a 1/2 inch off this wall too. That's gonna be a little tough, but so is that. Tight tolerances. Okay, now we need some H channel. If you're our friends across the pond, some H channel. How's that look to y'all? Is that straight? Straight enough? You've seen me do this a couple times. This one's a little different, so we need 37.5 to reach our H channel. But we're gonna have 2 inches of coverage here, so it's gonna go all the way to here. So we can come in 1 inch, and what that puts us at is 36. So we'll have 1.5 inches, so I'll have a 1/2 inch of overlap. Let's do 36.25, and that puts us right there. Almost exactly, it's 1.25 inches. So we'll have 2 inches, we'll come out to here, we'll have a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch of play here. But one FRP sheet is 4 foot wide. What that does is gives us an extra foot to play with up here. So that way we can have a 1/2 inch on both sides up there as well. And that way we can use one sheet here and here. That way we don't waste anything. Because if I would have just done this by my normal measurement, which is, I would have done, it comes out to 37.5. So I would have done 37. We would have been left with 11 inches, which our measurement here is 13.25. So comfortably, we're looking for about 12.75. But if we can find ourselves somewhere about a foot, then we'll be pretty good. And it gives us plenty of room here and there, because we're gonna have 2 inches up there, 2 inches down here. So we can cut about 2 inches off and still have 1 inch of play on both sides. So with 13.25, cutting 2 inches off, that leaves us at 11.25. And we still have 1 inch on both sides. So 12, 11.75 will be fine. Job feel? Job feel. I'm gonna go cut that. Be right back. Hi, I'm back. Oh, I guess I could have cut that. Huh. I'd say it's a wee bit too tall, mate. Just a wee bit. Oh, I gotta cut that too. So I took the smallest measurement of the right side and the left side, and then took 1/2 inch off of that. I don't know what these are actually used for. We always use them to dress our fish. You take his little pliers under here. But I don't know what they're actually used for. I know they're good for this. Oh, I didn't cut that. Bob Saget. Hey. Dang it. Yeah, if anybody can tell me what these are supposed to be used for, I'd love to know. Great little tool. Still haven't figured out a great way to do this yet. Our main focus here is to ensure that we have enough room at the top and the bottom that our 2 inch piece of trim is going to cover everything. We may have trouble with that. Oh, hell, magic conch. So we need to measure here to there, here to there, here to there, there to there, there to there, there to there. Let's play a game. Will it fit? It's the same game I played with your mom last night. What you see is what you get. I don't think it turned out too bad. What do y'all say? This is a great undertaking. You need to be prepared for that. I never once said any of this was going to be easy, and it wasn't. This was hard, but AI made it a hell of a lot easier. It gave me step-by-step directions. Do you want me to drop a video on how I did that? I can walk you through the steps on that as well, because I think that's really, really powerful information, is learning how to use that one skill to do any skill. We actually already started the trim. If you look close enough, you can probably get a sneak preview of it. We're going to put the floor in. We're actually starting on that. That's why I'm a little dusty today. I mean, just take a look at what I built. I have no prior experience in any of this stuff. I think it turned out insane for the value. I could charge somebody $10,000 to do this. This is a business. I used a circular saw for the first time when I started this project. Think about that. The first time I ever used a circular saw was to build a bedroom. So I think the answer here to the question that we began this with, is AI capable of helping you build any and everything? No, but it can help you use your skills better than you've ever imagined. I knew I was capable of this. I just needed guidance along the way. And I think that's the main thing that we can grasp from this, is AI is not here to replace us yet. It's here to aid us. I mean, just look at what I accomplished. Yeah, it took me a while to make it. That's not bad. You go to a contractor, they'll charge you $25,000 for something very similar. Get out there and do that job. I just wanted to show you that if you can dream it, you can do it, baby. Learn how to use your skills to the maximum potential. Follow us if you want more videos like this, because we're going to start the trim and the floor next. And I don't think you're going to want to miss it, because I've never done any of that either. Thank you for watching Spare Part. I love you. You are enough. You matter. We want you to come back. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell. We appreciate you.